So, I would like to welcome you all to our very first Mother's Day question and answer seminar/session. Today, this evening, we're basically just going to be asking some questions that are geared towards moms who have played rugby or are playing rugby, and moms who have kids or adults playing rugby. Oh, and anyone can answer any of the questions and stop me at any point. We have 9 questions, well, 10, 9 questions. So shouldn't be too long. Keep your answers short and sweet, or long and sweet, but whatever you decide, but not too much because, but yes. So any questions before we begin?
Nope, I think you explained it perfectly.
All right, let's do this. Oh, wait, hold on. How rude of me. Before we begin, happy Mother's Day in advance to everyone here.
Mother's Day!
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. All right, let's actually begin
Thank
now. Welcome. Okay, first question. When your child first came to you and told you that they wanted to play a sport, and that sport was rugby, what were your thoughts? Anyone feel free.
Okay, here's the thing. From before he was born, my son Nicholas was a very active creature. When I remember feeling this child kicking in my belly, I thought, yeah, he's gonna be a footballer, something, right? So he was always running. He was always doing something. He played football in primary school. Then, when we were living in the Cayman Islands, his best friend was a young man from Wales, and the rest, as they say, is history. They went from football in the last year of primary school to rugby in the first year of secondary school. So I just took it in stride. I mean, he'd done all sorts of stuff before. We used to go horseback riding. He did kung fu. He did tennis. He did all sorts of stuff. So it was like, yeah, rugby. Yeah, okay.
Easy decision, easy thing.
Yeah,
was it a surprise for anyone else?
Shakira, I see you talking, but I can't hear you.
Sorry, is this better?
Yeah.
Getting to unmute. For me, I think when Jars mentioned that it started with an after school, they were doing something after school with rugby. And I just thought it was really interesting. I didn't know anybody I knew older friends that had played rugby, but I didn't even realize that they were having rugby at our school. So I was, of course, a little concerned, but we have grown up as horse riders, and she has taken many falls and I've taken many falls. And so that's kind of something that I've always been, it comes along with sport. So yeah.
I like that.
A little concerned, but then, I think when I went and I saw, and it was Kevin Cobham that was explaining that they're very aware of contact and safety. So my fears were put to rest.
That's good. Would anyone else like to add?
Mama Walker.
Yeah, well, Mikhail was in a time where there was not that much safeguarding, but I trusted Dennis Hargraves, who's the coach, and whatever the children choose to do, as long as it's positive and moral, I support them. So it was no issue for me.
That's very sweet. All right, let's move on to the next question.
Wait.
So,
Anis didn't have anything to say about Jana?
Oh, yes, please.
Well, I mean, I was thinking that my perspective was a little different because, I mean, I was completely clueless about rugby. So when Jana came to me, it was no different from her saying, well, mommy, I want to play golf. Because, I mean, it's in my mind, you know, it was something she wanted to be part of a sport. And in my mind, it could only be good. So, yeah, I started from scratch. I spoke to the Kevins and then I read up on it. And I was like, well, I mean, there's so many rules and so many good that could come of this. If this is what she wants to do, sure, let's do this. So I didn't spend too much time wondering about it being a contact sport or anything like that, because I figured, you know, football, rugby, what's the big difference really? Don't tell the ruggers I said that.
Oh my goodness. Anyone else? I don't want to cut anybody off again. Going once.
I think
going
all the
twice.
parents of rugby children have spoken. And everybody else is a rugby player, yeah.
All righty. Well, this is still, the next question is still one that the parents would have to answer. Is there a big difference between raising a daughter and a son who play rugby? In terms of, you know, preparation, determination, recovery, their engagement, their drive, things like that.
I think for me, obviously, I have sons and I have a daughter, and Jara's the only one that really flew with rugby. I tried to get my youngest son involved, and he enjoyed it, but he was intimidated by the contact, whereas Jara loved the contact. So I think maybe there, you know, could be a misconception that boys will, you know, be drawn to it and girls would be a little shy, but I kind of had the opposite experience. It's only now that he's 15 and he's grown quite tall and he's, you know, put on some weight that he said, you know, yeah, I don't think I'd be afraid anymore. I might go back when they start practicing.
Love that.
So,
Love that.
I don't know.
Well, I can't speak from personal experience because I have one son, but the Southways, the family from Wales, Jordan had a younger sister called Rebecca. And at one point they were all playing together. It was an under 12 tournament, and it was full contact. This is obviously a good while ago, but not Rebecca, I'm sorry, that's the mom's name. But the daughter was, she was, if anything, more aggressive than her big brother. I don't know if she felt that she had something to prove, but she would, you know, she'd go out there. I'm getting the names mixed up, I'm sorry. Rebecca is the daughter, Karen is the mom. But Rebecca was, I'm not sure if she's still playing, because I said this was a while back with the under 12s. And they used to, I think she was like the only girl on the team, and she did her thing. So I don't know. I think it's a personality more than a gender thing.
Okay, I can see that too. I think I agree with that one.
And I have boys only, so I can't really compare daughter something. But with Mikhail, his build was tiny. He was the tiniest on the field for a very, very long time. And our body structure is a smaller build, but I had no fear because he paid a great attention to his coaches. He had, as I said, Dennis, who was really good. Jan Weber, I don't know if y'all know Jan, he was very good. And these were older men who played for England and working here. So they taught him very good technique. And I would always say to him, you're small, so you have to know the technique well. And he paid attention. So I had no issues. And plus, he was like a kitten that looked into the mirror and saw a lion. So in his mind, he was bigger than the biggest person on the field. So he would tackle them and go for them. So I had no issues because I recognized he was using the technique well and would find ways to protect himself. So there's room for everyone of every size. So he made it work for him.
That's good. That's good. Anyone else want to contribute? Anyone who might just have an opinion and not a first-hand experience as well?
We have 3 female rugby players here. Cherise.
For me, my experience, so I started playing rugby in school like most of us, and it was after school, so it wasn't an in PE thing. So Dennis came down and I saw the boys playing and I decided, hey, let me go and play. And it was fun and I stuck to it. So then when I told my parents I was playing, I was like, oh no, not that rough sport. Little did I know that my dad had played before me, but it was like the unspoken of thing because he had gotten injured and he stopped. But yeah. So for my parents, because my mom does not even, she watched me play maybe once. And I think in that game, I did get hurt. And she said, never again. So it's like her baby girl is getting hurt playing.
Right.
So
well, it's a good thing.
Different for boys and girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
May I ask Cherise a question?
Yes, please.
Cherise, you said mom said never again, but here you are all these years later. So what happened in between?
Oh, she said never again. I didn't say never again. Yeah, so, she doesn't come to support, but she still supports in her heart because she would always ask, what are you guys doing next? What games are coming up? But she would not come. She wasn't brave enough to come and watch it.
I see. Bless her heart. Bless her. Anyone else want to contribute?
Pauline,
before
Nikita.
we move to the next question.
Nothing?
Yeah. Sorry, my boss came in, so I missed the question. So I was just listening to the answers, trying to deduce what the question was. So, would you mind asking the question again, please?
Well, this question is asking if you think there's a difference between raising a daughter or raising a son who plays rugby.
Well, no. I guess that's the easiest answer. Because every parent, I believe, will have the fear of being injured because there's the stigma of it being a rough sport. I would say people probably would be a little more reserved with their girls because they don't want us to be hurt. But I believe that every parent knows their child. I was a rough child growing up. So rugby was like, oh, why you been playing this sport ever since? For my mother. The injuries was a big deterrent for her. She was like, oh my gosh, no, cast? No, never again. But when she realized that rugby is a stain that never gets out. So it is accepting that your child is going to be addicted to rugby for life.
All right, then. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the next question, if everyone's good with that. Sounds like a resounding yes. Next question. Does the process of being a mother take away from or change your rugby or sporting career? I mean, this is a pretty broad question considering that what really is being a mother, but we wanted to delve into the realm of if it stopped you from playing the sport, if it took you away from the sport for a little while or changed how you had to play the sport.
I will respond by saying, this is Pauline anyways. Yes, it did take away my time. As much as it take away my time, I see now how much time I used to take and put into rugby. when I had my son. So it showed me that I used to put so much work and time and effort in staying fit and giving healthy and all the other things I used to do and train and work out apart from that to just keep myself in shape for rugby. So my time now had to go into raising him and even try and bring him to training and bringing him to the sport. It was it's like a task. So it's a harder task for you to meet. So yes, I would say take away time, but I think if you have a good support system, then it doesn't affect you as much. But if you don't have a good support system wherever you are, it's a little difficult for me to say.
Okay. This is usually a very big part about, as we were discussing, why a lot of women wouldn't want to get fully invested in rugby or in any other sport, really, because they feel like when they have to have a child, or if they have to have a child, it will just, put a stop to that. But you still play and, still quite involved in everything.
That's why I think more planning needs to go into the organization, because I think that because these things happens, and that there should be things in place to support moms at rugby, mom players. There should be probably a little auntie to look after the children, a little section designated for children, a safe section away from the adult antics, a safe section for our children, to encourage the female players to get to get involved after they have children.
Where are the aunties right now?
I do agree with that because even when I was living in Trinidad, that was something that I observed they did at some of those clubs. So they'll have like kids rugby the same time you're having training for 7s or 15s. They'll have kids rugby that same time where you have those people that just devote their time and just taking care of those kids. It's a rugby or it's training or it's fun, but it's a way to engage them while the adults, the men train or the women train. They have those times at the same time. So their coaches just devoted to that, younger players that devoted just to taking care of those children during the time that the adults play or train, I should say. So it's something that can happen. So then you having two sets of players coming up. You're having those adults that are representing your country or your club, and then you have those kids that are getting into rugby at a very young age.
That's actually a very good idea.
And it's also a way to invite people to rugby. It's a way to tell people, yes, you can play rugby, and you know what, you can bring your son, he can play the under 9 or under 10 or whatever, It's a way to invite people to say, well, you know what, you don't have to take care of your son for that 2 hours. We have somebody that'll take care of them. We'll have somebody training them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's a fun activity for the kids as well.
I agree. It really, it makes it an all-rounded situation. You can be doing anything and still be in rugby, taking care of somebody's kids, bring your kids while you play, etc., etc. That's a wonderful idea. We're definitely taking note mentally.
I think our general community spirit, it would encourage persons that have children. I don't think anyone here, not that I'm speaking for anyone, that has a child and plays rugby would say that having a child and probably not having someone to watch the child while you play rugby at home is a deterrent, because we already know once you come to rugby, that child is well taken care of, whether they're familiar with everyone or not. And I think that community spirit that we have is very encouraging in terms of having a child and it affecting me personally playing rugby. I have an all or nothing type of personality. So if I am unable to give my all, then I'm giving nothing, but I don't want to dabble. I don't want to half commit. I could fully commit 100%. And if I know I'm unable to do that for whatever reason, I believe that rugby deserves 100%. So I refuse to give it any less.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Is that That's everybody?
For me, my experience was slightly different because it's a mixture of both Pauline and Nikita. Like Nikita, I am all or nothing. But before I had my son, I made a conscious decision that rugby was taking over my life. Like literally every facet of my life was rugby involved. So I made a conscious decision to step back from rugby before I started the process of trying to make a family. Because if you can have everything in, it doesn't make sense trying to put in 2 cents, because if you're putting in 2 cents, what you're getting out is 2 cents. But then the rugby community, when we come back and we play just for the fun of it, the rugby community is there. They have that. I have a COVID baby, so my child has not gotten to see a lot of the world, and I was in fear because I thought that he was going to be antisocial. The first 3 months of his life, he did not see people. So when we came out there on the pitch for the first time and a stranger came and said, "Are you playing?" Like, "Yeah, I'd like to run around," and took my child from me. He was like, "Okay, sure." No problem. And he was fine with it. Oh, there he goes.
It's all right.
Yeah, that's right.
I just want to add to that a little bit too, is that I think that if you are if you're playing your sport at a really high level before you have kids, that we all know, male or female, the level of commitment that requires. And when you start a family, I think it puts it on pause. And very often, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, it then causes you maybe to transfer into more of like less the competitive aspect of it and more of just enjoying your sport for the fun of it, as a release, as, you know, just not taking it as seriously. And then when you get to my age where, you know, your kids are all leaving the nest, you can begin to think about competition again and focusing on, you know, spending more hours, you know, in yourself and your sport. So maybe a bit of a pause rather than putting it on the back burner.
Okay. I see that. I see.
Well, yes, say hi to the people. Oops.
Hello, baby. Adorable. All right. Shall we move on to the next question? I think we shall. Let us see. So this one I think this one is pretty straightforward. What is the feeling you would get when you heard that your child was achieving something big in rugby? They were going to be picked for the team, represent your country, represent their team. They were going to be on TV, anything at all. If you can, describe this feeling in 5 words. I think that, yeah, 5 words. Everyone.
Over the moon.
Well, close enough.
That was, you know, I was like, yeah, awesome.
Every single time?
Well, the first time when he was playing, Nick played in his first international tournament when he was 11. And this was the Conyers Cup between Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. And I didn't know very much about rugby. Just like, okay, he's good at it. That's nice. And then he goes onto the pitch and he literally runs into some of the kids he went to primary school with, because we lived in Bermuda before. And basically the Cayman team was mauling the Bermudian team. And I heard one of the Bermudian parents saying, "Look out for that skinny little black kid." And I turned and, you know, gave her the evil eye. And then I thought, well, yeah, he is. But he was also one of the better players out there. And that's when I sort of started to think, wow, well, maybe he's got a talent for this. So, you know, I rejoiced. But, you know, I'm the mother that would be on the sidelines, jumping around, doing cartwheels and screaming when my child scores a try or makes a good play. So that's me. I'm the cheerleader mom.
Is everybody else a cheerleader mom?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. There's not going to be a time where Jar is on the field and doing anything that I'm not going to be there watching her, and very proud of whatever her achievements are, whether she was going to be on the TV or not on the TV, whether it was at a school game or, it's just the fact that she's doing something and happy about it and excited and having a great time. So.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Yeah, for myself, I think too proud for words would be my too proud for words, would be my 4 words. Yeah, I think it really gives a parent a sense of pride and joy, just joy to see your child accomplish something. For me, I mean, Janelise was always very happy to come and say, well, I'm playing against this team, or this is what we're doing. And I can see how she felt accomplished by just doing that, and how she spoke about her teammates. And, she felt as if she belonged to a group which was really, going somewhere, doing something. And it was just that sense that just made me feel like, okay, so, I mean, I'm doing something right as a parent, not really doing much, just encouraging, still my part, but just to watch her feel as if she is really succeeding in whatever it is was just give me joy.
Oh, that's lovely. Sharice, you think you'll feel? Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Continue.
Mine would probably be that hard work pays off.
Oh,
That'll probably it, because Mika refers to me as his momager.
Momager, like that one.
The cross between his mother and his manager, because a lot of the time on the sidelines, I'm merely strategizing what we could do to make it better, how we could use this, how we could improve, and little things like that. So that is how I come to get involved in the picture taking, and then the video recording, because you see little areas where you can just chip in quietly to help make things better. And then he would be like, oh, but mommy, you made everything so business-like. But the day that I said to a coach, what, this young man here is interested in playing professionally. And he said, okay, let's try, let me see what you have. I would need to have his rugby CV. I need to have his highlights reel. And, he was talking vaguely, and I said, okay, give me your email. So before the conversation is finished, I says to him, okay, check your email. And so he's shocked now that the rugby CV is there, the highlights reel is there, everything he says that he wants is there. And he was like, okay, so before the week is out, they're saying, okay, yes, they want him. So it's like you prepare yourself. Just don't hang back there. You can do more. Prepare yourself. You didn't know what was coming, but you can go there and go after something. Prepare yourself. So the hard work paid off.
And you're a true inspiration, Mommy Walker, I must say.
I was saying,
thank you. Thank you, Mika would not use those words. He used to call me some other words.
Oh, dear.
I just wanted to say personally that your highlight reel, all of your video is what I use to compile Jara's highlight reel for university. So thank you. We wouldn't have had one had it not been for you.
That's wonderful. That's what it's all about. Wonderful. Because I would always tell him that whatever I'm doing for him, I'm doing for the others. Because it's a team sport. So he can't do it alone. So you would find that he would always might be showing someone how to do something, because one man is not a team. So whatever I do, and then as an educator too, I can't do it for my child and not for somebody else's child. So whatever I do for him, I try to filter to anyone else who's interested. It's a team sport. It
is a team sport. We are forever grateful. Forever grateful. Goodness.
You're most welcome.
The moms of the babies. You think you'll be in the exact same boat as these seasoned mothers?
Sure. I am already the biggest cheerleader for every different experience. I am celebrating even before he does. So for sure, there's a sense of pride in being a mom. This is something that you created. And when you see your creation achieving, there's a sense of pride that just can't be explained. You can't put it into words.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the thing is too, is what I started doing was cheering for some of the other kids. You know, obviously this is the under 19s, because I realized that for many of the young men, they didn't have a parent or an auntie or an uncle. They had nobody cheering for them. And I kind of know what that feels like because I was not athletic at school, but my mom could never come to speech day. And I really hated that. So from way back then, I promised that anything my child did, if I was blessed enough to have a child, whatever that child did, I was going to be there as the biggest cheerleader. And so I extended it to some of the other young men that were there. So as far as I'm concerned, I have like about 25 adopted rugby children. And I will cheer them on, you know, make sure they get home. Like some of them, okay, there was one guy who lives in St. Lucie. I was not promising to drive him to St. Lucie, but at least make sure he got to Bridgetown safely. Yeah. You know, to be there to support them. Because for whatever reason, you know, mom or dad could not be there, but Auntie Kathy is there jumping up and down and screaming. So, yeah.
Fair enough. We're grateful. Very, very grateful.
Yeah,
Shall we
that's
move?
amazing. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Interruptions are welcome.
But also to just carry on with Sharice's point, it will be very, very special, especially for her, if her son decides to play rugby, being a second generation rugby player. So being able to impart whatever wisdom you would have gained from rugby, every experience you would have experienced, and you'll be able to guide him through that. I think that is a blessing. Brooke is saying that she wants to play rugby, but I know that is gaff. I know that is just her saying she wants to play rugby because she has rugby players for parents.
And she said, don't stop the child.
No, I won't stop her.
Let
Emily,
her try.
I know it is gaff. I know it is gaff.
No, don't be so negative.
But mother knows best.
Always, sorry to say.
She would probably do it recreationally. But to be able to have somebody share your experiences and to be able to say, well, yeah, I would have went through that and this is how I got through it, and see if you could probably use my examples or my lack of examples or my experiences, whatever I would have gone through rugby related to help you in your rugby career. I think that would be excellent.
Yeah. Second generation players definitely have a little bit of an advantage, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to each kid to make a name for themselves. All right. Are we ready for the next question? Yes, sounds like a yes.
Go for it. Just go for it.
I fear the interruptions. All right. What is the most challenging part about being a rugby mother? Whether it be for you personally or for your child.
The hospital.
Oh boy.
Definitely.
Oh boy.
Been there, done that.
The hospital. Yeah, because the surgeon, the orthopedic surgeon on me. Yeah, especially having
you got three boys though. Come on.
3 boys. I remember even once when being at the surgeon and staying quiet and letting the child say what he had to say, because I know the surgeon was looking at me just thinking, let me see if this woman abused this child.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
So the most challenging part is the injuries, going through the process, and especially knowing that they're going to go back to the sport after. So we have to get them to heal as best as possible to get back to the sport.
Kids in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I mean, and at the risk of sounding terribly sexist, you know, boys, they're different. It's like they think they're made of vibranium or something. You know,
I wish I could agree, but I can't agree at all.
Kathy, I don't think it's boys. I think it's rugby players.
I think so too.
Okay,
Because
fair
I see
enough.
the girl, I see the girls going back. I see
It's true.
Jana Lee got her
Jana
injury
Lee
and she
is
was
exhibit
looking
A.
yes.
Oh, Lord.
Couldn't wait to get back there. I see Shara, she would have all feet bruises. And before you look back, Shara's there. So
The thing is, you know, there's two things I remember, and this is maybe it's Nick, but I was trying not to be the helicopter mom that I would like to be, because that's not fair to anybody, right? I'd be like hovering protectively, don't touch my child.
Oh dear.
But you know, that's not practical. So we were living in the Cayman Islands. I think he was playing rugby. He hurt his hand in gym class at school. And I was trying to be the tough mom. So I didn't make a fuss. I said, oh, well, put some ice on it and you'll be good. 24 hours later, he's writing with his left hand because he can't hold a pen with his right. And I'm like, oh, crap. And I'm feeling like the most neglectful, horrible mother ever.
Oh dear.
Hop down to the hospital. Turns out he's got a couple of broken and dislocated bones in his hand. Saw the orthopedic surgeon the next day, and he spent the next couple of weeks in a cast. I felt so neglectful. I mean, you know, I just felt horrible. But that was nothing. That was nothing. Because we were touring, it was, well, I can't remember if they changed over to NACRA or from NACRA to RAN, but it was the under-19 tournament in Trinidad. And I was really the momager. I was the manager of the team and the mom. And Nick got a whack over his eye, and it swelled up immediately. So, you know, off we go to the hospital because he couldn't see out the eye. And he's yakking at me all the way. He's fine, nothing's wrong with him. I was like, no, you got a head injury. You are going to get checked out. He says, but this is the strongest bone in the human body. And I'm like, I don't care. He was fine. You know, we had a rest day the next day, but you know, the eye was swollen shut and he had a red mark on the cornea for a couple of months. But, you know, it was like that heart-stopping moment. You know, we've all been there. I mean, especially if you have an active child, male or female, that likes sports, that likes horseback riding, you get chucked off a horse, you fall out of a tree, you know, whatever. It happens. Stuff happens.
It's true.
So,
I mean, a lot of times those kids just think, well, I mean, me included, I'm suddenly the doctor and I know that I'll be fine in a week. It won't hurt anymore in a week, you know. It might still be an injury, but I'll be able to walk on it in a week. You know what I mean? So it's all fine. It's great. Specifically wanted to talk about Jana because Jana's case is during COVID, you know, like she was injured and then of course she had to do recovery and everything. But Jana's the kind of person to, you know, get injured and then be really mad about it for a little while. And then she's like, oh no, it's fine. Back to it. But this time it's different. If you want to go into that, Jana's mommy.
Yeah, I would agree that the most challenging thing for me had to do with injuries. There's injury and then there's injury because Jana has had like injuries off the field, which impacted how she played. And then I was there worried about the fact that this injury could get worse on the field, but Jana didn't seem to be bothered. So there was that side of it. And then there was the mishap that she had back in July last year when she injured her knee, completely ruptured her ACL. So that was quite different. And I think for that one, my challenge was having to be psychologist and having to manage the emotions around her thinking, oh no, this is the end of my knee, so this is the end of my rugby, whatever, you know. So that was very difficult for me, and I think it was very difficult for her too, because I think she realized the seriousness and she was going to be out for a very long time. So I mean, I really had to I guess as any parent would, try to encourage her, let her know that, I mean, this is only temporary. It's going to heal. And then when it's all over, you will decide, you know, if you want to play, how you want to play, and so on. Obviously, she never did think that she was going to stop playing. It was just her worry about how and, you know, how long it's going to take and things like that as a child. So yeah, the challenge is always, for me, it's always around injury. But I'm blessed with a strong child. She's very tough. She loves rugby. So, yeah.
I always remember like the time I came and she had just cut her hand on like glass or something, and she had it like wrapped up. And she just came to rugby with it like wrapped up. And I remember thinking, this girl is so hardcore. Like,
listen, that was crazy. That was completely crazy. Cause that was an incident at school.
Yeah,
when they
I
called
remember.
me, this child is just bleeding. I was like, so why don't y'all call the ambulance? Anyhow,
You made it sound so fine and casual. It's like, oh, I just cut my hand at school. I was like, what?
Stitches and whatnot. Excuse me? What?
No,
that's a rugby player thing.
Yeah.
That is a rugby player thing. There's Nick jawing at me on the pitch in Port of Spain. His eye is swollen shut. Therefore, he has no depth perception. He still wants to play. You know?
What can you do?
And then Jana went on to play in the sevens, the World Sevens that December. This was like a mere matter of about 4 weeks since she had the injury, and I thought it was way too fresh. It would just, you know, kind of snap open. But
I mean, that's when there's a certain advantage. Prayers and youth. Prayers and youth.
Yeah.
Anything besides injuries?
I was thinking that you have to be really careful with them though, and follow up, because we don't want them to be taking serious injuries later into life. I remember when y'all had Flo Sevens Flo Sevens in St. James at the school on there, and I'm recorded, and I'm like, we kind of did something funny, but you don't see the game properly until you play over because you're recording. Like, what's going on there anyhow? So after the game, I was like, something strange happened on the side of the field. What were you over there doing? He was putting his shoulder back in, because I think that would have been one of the first games after his collarbone. You know, when the collarbone was broken. That would have been like some of the first after that.
Goodness.
Honey Badger
did this thing and bring his body in some sort of position and put the shoulder in.
Listen, that's why I nicknamed that.
Played that and rewinded that and replayed that. I was like,
oh no, Karen, no.
You should put it on YouTube for us to see.
No, that's why I nicknamed him the Honey Badger. Honey Badger don't care.
Now this is a mindset. I mean, I feel like
it is.
Jara's mom, being a horseback riding family, they all probably have the same kind of mindset about injuries, I feel.
Get back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you learn from, there's a saying in riding that you're not actually a rider until you've had your 100 falls. So it happens. I mean, Jara actually broke her collarbone riding. She was competing. She was in a show, and she was, I think, about to take a jump, or she had just landed from a jump and she fell, and, you know, she was on the ground, and then she was like, okay, I understand the ambulance was there. And then she's like, but just let me finish my round and then I can go to the ambulance.
That's so like Jara.
Yeah, it does sound like Jara. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And we're like, are you kidding? Like, it's clear that your collarbone is sticking out. No, you can't get back on a horse. So I think that I would have to say that maybe people that are drawn to rugby just, it's just the adrenaline of the sport, and you know, the desire to compete and to be the best that you can, and you know, you work hard to prepare for competition, and you just don't want to, you know, you want to finish it. So
yeah.
And you don't want to
worst
let down
feeling.
the team. And you
Worst
don't
feeling is
want to
getting
let
injured
down
and you
the
can't
team.
finish. Yep, definitely the team aspect as well.
I'm a big hypochondriac, so as soon as something starts hurting on me, I'm like, Marta, take me out. Oh.
Wow, I can't really. I feel like if I get hit or hurt, and it hurts for a little bit, I'd be like, I'll pass. I'll just have to keep walking, and then eventually the rest of the body will catch up.
Walk
I'll
it
be good.
off.
But not with head injuries now. Don't play with those.
No, never.
All right.
When Mikael first started, I watched with the men. I think the cure for everything was to throw cold water on it. This is covered with a bottle of squirt.
No.
Cold water on it. That was the cure for everything.
Oh dear. I'm glad we have advanced and become more, getting lots more careful and caring for making sure people are okay.
I think you have to be like 90% masochist to be a rugby player, at least.
No, it's 50-50. It's half masochist, half sadist. Because you want to hurt people too.
Oh gosh, please don't put those labels on it, please.
I like hurting people, but I don't like being hurt. I'm easily traumatized.
Oh dear. I believe that you like hurting people. I believe that. All right. On to the next. Ah, yes, like this one. How has rugby helped in your child's development, i.e., behavior, mental health, physical health, etc.?
I can talk for Jars. It's helped her tremendously. I think rugby is instrumental in who she is now. She's always been, you know, very dedicated and very focused, but she comes to life when she's around her rugby family and playing, and you see a side of her that is unique to that environment. And she always, because she used to, you know, her riding was her primary sport before she played rugby, and for a while they were dueling, and then rugby took over. And her trainer always used to say, you know, was trying to help her find her voice in riding, and just, you know, to be a little more vocal and dominant. And rugby brought that out. She had no problems after that. You know, she found a community. She, you know, took such pride in her strength. That's, you know, she really, I've always gone to the gym and tried to get them to come and go with me. And since she started to play rugby, she's interested in gaining muscle and, you know, wanting to get in the squat rack and, you know, deadlift and stuff. And
I feel like everybody at rugby
now.
Sorry, I was saying I feel like everybody at rugby now knows about Jara's #soul journey.
Yes, yeah. She's really trying. She's still trying. She's right here, and she's you know, we go to the gym every day, and it's so great as a mother of a daughter, you know, and I see a lot of young teenagers that are dealing with like body positivity issues, you know, self-esteem. And I really do credit rugby for, you know, just having Jara so grounded. Like has never endeavored to be thinner or to try and, you know, lose weight. Everything about her is like, how much muscle can I get on me? You know, like, do you have the protein shake, mommy? Like, did you remember the protein shake?
I love to see it.
Yeah, I think that has helped with her mental health, you know, just the friends that she's made. Like, I can't say enough about how instrumental rugby has been for her development.
That's great. That's great. I definitely wanted to add on to the part you were saying about body positivity and body image and so on. As a rugby player, I've realized for myself that it's when you're building your body or like, you know, living your life, you're thinking, well, I need to eat this much food so that I can have energy, so that I can do the best on the field. So having the sport there to keep you having a goal all the time, for me personally, helps you to maintain yourself. Like, you need to be able to yell from one side of the field to the next to let your teammate know what's going on. You need to be able to run for 14 to 90 minutes. You need to be able to kick a ball or catch a ball. And there's certain things that you need for your body to be at a certain state so that you can achieve those things. So I definitely credit rugby for keeping me from being a stick.
And also I find as well, like, moving on from that too, Jessica, is that it puts you in close proximity with like-minded girls. You know, a lot of Jara's friends from school were not necessarily into sports, so they were really all about necessarily going to the gym to do cardio or trying to slim down, whereas, you know, the girls that she was training with had a like-minded you know, goal. So it's good.
I think that rugby is a very body positive sport, because, like, especially on the female team and on the male team as well, we have like people that look like everything and anything. So it's not necessary. You can't really, you know, like how other sports are like, oh, you can't play this because blah blah blah. You could play rugby if you're skinny. You could play rugby. You could play rugby if you're just like me. If you could play rugby if you're bigger, like, it doesn't matter. They'll find a position for you, or like so like I think that's like really good, like, about our sport.
Yeah, I think in terms of, it was for me, watching the 11-year-old boys when they started playing rugby. Cayman still has a very big rugby program. They, you know, like from 9 o'clock on Saturday morning until afternoon when they play a match, there was always some sort of rugby training going on. I mean, basically it was, if you're tall enough to see over the rugby ball, you can play some form of rugby. So they had all ages. But it was watching these kids have to get along. You're on the team together. It doesn't matter whether the personalities clash. For that 90 minutes or whatever time you're on the pitch, you need to work together as a team. And so there was a mental discipline. And what I love about rugby is that bad behavior is punished. I mean, seriously, if you do crap, think about it. Rugby has laws, not rules. It has laws. All right. And especially, you know, watching some of Nick's peers out there in school and the crap that they were doing and the trouble they were getting into. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. My child plays rugby. He stays on the pitch. Put all that energy out there. That's a healthy outlet for that energy, and you're learning stuff. And because he was able to make the team and travel with the under-19 boys, he was also exposed to a lot of other different cultures. You know, you traveling in Mexico, that was amazing. I think the boys saw a completely different way of life, and it got them thinking. So, you know, being able to do that, helping anybody, male or female, be aware of their body in a positive way. I like what I think it was Emily had said, that, you know, there's a position for you, whatever your body shape is. There's this sort of stereotypical idea of a rugby player that kind of looks like Martin. Right? That's what people kind of, when you say rugby, that's what you think. So when they see like a Mikhail, they're like, you play rugby? And I'm like, yes, he does. And he's very good at it. You know, so to be able to do that, break the negative stereotypes. And with rugby too, I mean, we've been focusing on playing, but don't forget, there's in the background, you have administrators, you have coaches, you have managers, you have all these things. So even if the child does not want to go on and play rugby at a higher level as an adult, they can play, you know, for fun on weekends, but they can be involved in the admin in some way. So it opens up doors. It really gets them thinking. And gee whiz, we need that. We really need that.
Yeah, I agree with the thinking. It's a very mental game.
I think I want to kind of spin the question to ask for people that play rugby, that are mothers, how rugby has helped with your parenting style, or how it's helped in your development as a parent.
That's our next question. Lovely.
Thank you, Emily. That is actually a very good question.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I went to school.
So then, everybody spoke about the rugby values, and you have these values that you have learned from rugby. And what, for me, is trying to impart these values on my child is that sense of community, is that sense of respect, integrity, all of these values. I know what I got these from rugby, and I know what benefits I have gotten from rugby. The body positivity, that's a big thing for me, because I remember when I started playing rugby, I was a skinny little thing. And when they sent us to the gym to do national training, I told the coach, I don't want to get muscles. Girls don't have big muscles. But then when we got serious about playing rugby, he reminded me, sure, you still remember when you came to the gym and you said you didn't want to have muscles? I know you want to lift the most weights in the gym. I couldn't lift the most weights because I'm weak. But in my head, I thought I could. I was asking for it. And I find that was a benefit of having not just rugby, having played a sport, because you want to be the best. So you have to train like the best. You have to train the hardest. And you're imparting that, on your children.
I agree.
And I think to add as well with the body positivity too, it's not just, it's that you begin to see your body, not how other people view it, but what it can do for you, and fueling your body, and like how powerful your body is, and the limits that you can take it, and how you can push it and take care of it. And so as young girls, it's less about what the world sees about your body that's important, and more about what you can, how you can take care of your body, because it's working for you.
I agree.
One thing I would say my involvement in rugby has done for me is, for sure, what you'll say about the culture, because I move around in a lot of different countries. And then everywhere I go, I have a family. So there's a family wherever I go. I am never alone. I meet a family some way, somehow. I have a rugby family, whichever country that I fall in. People I never met before, but then they will accept me, because once I start playing or I start training, I become part of something bigger than me and bigger than just the island. It's just something that is a feeling that you get. But the other thing rugby has done that I would say have changed my perspective is when I went to university, it was the way that I could have balanced school and my lifestyle, like just trying to balance it. Rugby brought me a form of peace while I was studying in university. Because sometimes you have a work overload and you have so much going on when you go into school. But when you get on that field, you forget about everything that's going on in school, because trust me, at university, you have so many things coming at you. And it was just my way of my mental break. Because I would have stayed my dorm and just study instead. It was my mental break. That's what I used to get my hour twice a week. And it was just my form of being myself for that hour. So it's a mental thing. It really balances your life. And for me, for my son, it helps me balance him. I'm like, hey, rough it up. You fall, stand up. You gotta make it do, because you'll not always get somebody to pick you up when you fall. Sometimes you have to learn to move on and just go again. You cannot really stop and cry about something. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I try and raise my son. You can't really cry. You just have to wake up and let's go again. Let's go. Let's pump. That's me.
I like a good cry. My cries are quite useful. Just saying. But I see where you're coming from. You gotta cry and then move on.
One more thing to everything that we have said, and it is seeing opportunities in sport, because especially in our culture, we still don't see sport as it could be a job. to a lot of people, it's still just a hobby. But having played rugby at a high level, I see that there are opportunities out there, not just in rugby, in any sport. So once you dedicate yourself to the sport, there are opportunities out there to be had. It's not just a hobby, it's something that can take you further.
Definitely.
I do agree with that, right? And I think that's what we really sorry. And I was like, we should really try and put that aspect into people that it can be a job. And I mean, now that they are paying persons to play rugby in England and the States and Canada, they are paying women now almost the same value as men now. So that shows that, hey, we are growing in this world, that we are changing the way we view sport, that we can actually get this sport as a job, so before we never saw it like that it was just a sport, and even international players before wasn't getting paid. And it's sad that's how it was. And sometimes even the Caribbean, we have to make our way. But now we can see that the economy is changing, the government is changing. They see it as an Olympic sport, and because of seeing it as an Olympic sport, they open-minded, because hey, to be the first Caribbean island to play in the Olympics or rugby, that's a big thing for them. And if that's what they want to raise their flag about, they will push it and they'll put the money to it. So rugby have now opened the eyes of a lot of sporting industry that people never thought that would have happened. Because having over 1,000 persons come to your country just to play rugby, the economy is booming from that. You
got to set up and take notice. And you know what's interesting too is that you have Major League Rugby in the USA now. And right? For somebody to get involved with a sports league, they smell money. So, the opportunities are there. And I have no problem with that. As you said, there's all sorts of, there's players, there's coaches, there's managers, there's fitness trainers, physios, all of this stuff. And why can't we be doing that too? We can do it too.
Definitely.
And I would like to have it on record that I see Sharice in the media aspect in terms of commentary.
Thank you, Karen. Auntie K, I will definitely work on it. When I get some free time in like a year.
I know.
But I will definitely work on it. I've considered it. Every time you say it to me, I've considered it. And last year, I think when I was down at the Rugby Sevens and I saw I can't remember what her name is, but the other lady that was there commentating, I was like, that could be me.
Tiffany Fire.
That could be you.
Yeah.
That could be me. Yeah. So definitely.
Yeah. Speaking into her life, but I see her in that role.
Yes.
And also too, what I appreciate too about the rugby family is during this COVID period where persons were locked in terms of mental health and stability, I saw aspects of the rugby family pulling each other together. I remember when Sharice with her belly was still big, and the video she did, the vets did.
Oh yeah.
And the reaching out, I like that. And the one that y'all younger ones did, that was really good. And keeping in contact, keeping your sanity. And when you were speaking about the health, I thought of one of our other guys who is diabetic. And I watched him as a youngster having to give himself these injections with the insulin. And after a few years, the amount of medication he had to take was reduced. So you see the positive all around in every sphere of the sport. And apart from the physical and the opportunities that you see, the traveling, and so you have the athletes, you can have those in media, you can have organizing, as Kathy said, you can have the refs. There's so much areas that you can branch into when it comes to sports now. There's trainers, physical physios, psychologists. So there's so many areas that they can branch into that I think is a very good foundation for the youngsters to have.
Definitely. Definitely. I agree with that. Rugby's a good thing. It's a good little pocket of the world. And it's expanding. Boy, is it expanding. And we love that. We love that a lot. Okay. We're coming down to the end of our questions, I believe. Yes, this is our second to last question. Is there anything that you all would like to tell the other rugby mothers out there that you wish you had known beforehand?
Particularly like new moms, I guess. Like new rugby mothers.
Any mom.
Oh,
But yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Insurance is important. I know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, make sure you have the insurance, whether it is under the BOA coverage or your child's on insurance. That is very important. Obviously, you're not sending your child to get injured, but it happens, right? I mean, I'm not pushing rugby as a sport that people get injured, because you get injured in any other sport, even golf. But yeah, that's my only advice. Make sure your insurance is up to date for your child.
Yes. Very good advice. Anything can happen at any time, especially during practice when you least expect it. That's where most of the injuries that I have gotten have happened.
Yeah.
This could also
I
be.
just want to add.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say that this question could also be answered by people who are going to become mothers who play rugby, if you get me, like other playing rugby members' mummies. Does that make sense? I don't know if I asked this. Like Sharice, Nikita, and Pauline.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Okay.
I think what I was going to say for me is just maybe taking it back to Karen again. I remember a conversation that we had shortly after Jara started playing, and she was in one of the matches. And Karen, you came over to me and you said, you know, there are lots of opportunities for scholarships in rugby, especially for girls now. And it's kind of an emerging sport for females, and look into that. And it was something that I had not known about at all. And I think if other moms and dads know that, you know, it's a vehicle for scholarships, for university, as you said, for professions. You know, I was fortunate, as I said, that Karen mentioned that early on in Jara's rugby career, but if I didn't have that conversation with her, I may never have known.
Yeah.
I do agree 100% with that, because of rugby, as part of my background, I received a scholarship, not even a rugby scholarship, but a scholarship, an education scholarship. One thing that they asked me in my interview, and they asked, what do you do apart from school? And then I couldn't name music, rugby, and I represented my country. And then they wanted to know more. So how my interview was based on not knowing that.
You're breaking up a little bit, Pauline. That might just be me. But...
So open a conversation. I was one of the persons selected. Didn't know at that time that you had relationships. At that time, they didn't
breaking up, Pauline.
But people look at extra. No, the people look at those. People look at those extracurricular activities, and then they interviews, and then they see it as a top, better than something else. Not really better. They see something extra that you can bring to the table, or to the university, or to the college. And even having somebody from rugby as a reference, and say that you played or whatever. It's something that at my time of going to school, it wasn't something that was, you know, promoted. But because I mentioned it, it was something to add to my resume that I didn't even know I could have added to it.
That's good. I think we're learning now, you know. People are actually learning from the past and learning that they should let everyone else know that, you know, a little bit of sport makes you look like nice, well-rounded student. So get those opportunities for you.
Any advice from rugby player mommy to rugby player mommy?
I would encourage parents to get involved at some level. And speaking to the parents, I know some of the moms do not, I don't say one like the sport, have a difficulty with watching the sport.
Yeah. My mother.
Of the, Mika was kind of fortunate that his mom loves a physical something. But for parents to get involved and to help in other ways outside of the traditional sport part, because we can help, we can contribute or volunteer in other areas. I like that Jara's mom she could help in her area because she has a specialty. She has sports in her background. She works with youth. She can give back in that area. Then we have Annie. She can learn a legal aspect. So we can, from our own professional backgrounds, we could lend to the sport and build a more organized body. Because I see so much potential in the Barbados rugby that's very untapped. So I'm just waiting to see it explore. There's so much more that can be done. And if everybody just pitches in and is accepted, then I think that y'all can go so far. There's so much further that you can go. I'm waiting for it.
I like that.
It's true. There's a lot. There's a lot that can be done and needs to be done. Oh my. On to our final question. If it would change.
We can still ask it until it changes.
Yes. But basically, yeah, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay, so basically the next question is asking you if you would recommend rugby to other parents looking to get their children into sport.
Hands down.
Definitely, yes.
Absolutely.
That is a definite yes.
For sure, for me as well.
Even if we take into account the exercise, the community,
it's 1930.
But just the freedom. When you play rugby and when you're a part of that socialization, you just feel free. There's no animosity, there's no preconceived notions, you are just free. So even if just for the mental relief, I would recommend it. You find people that would have been reserved come to rugby and find a sense of belonging, and they pretty much blossom in front of your eyes. I would recommend it to everyone if I could.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You meet people from all walks of life. That's the wonderful thing I like about it, because we tend to be a bit, what's the word? In Barbados, we're all about, your social strata and who you hang out with, and, everything from skin color to the address where you live, all sorts of crap we tend to divide people up by. And rugby throws all that crap out the window. It's like, okay, here's the ball. Can you catch? Can you tackle? Can you run? There's something for everybody to do. And so I think it takes away the stigma. There was a beautiful video I saw on YouTube, I think, about like this quote unquote fat kid that nobody wanted on the team. And he was the one that scored the winning try. So, the rugby values somebody mentioned earlier, absolutely. You go in there and you do your best, whatever that best happens to be, and you play your part on the team. And you learn to lose properly. With dignity. You know, I don't know of another sport where you clap off the opposing team. You know?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I've seen this too, where no name, no blame, no lockup, especially as this is being recorded. But a player feels that gets upset, rightly or wrongly, and is about to do something that their teammates know will get him in or her in trouble. And I've seen it. I've seen teammates literally grab the person who was losing their temper by the shirt and push him to the other side of the pitch and say, no, you come over here. I need to talk to you or something. You know, they're looking out for each other. And that fellowship, it doesn't, once you hear you're a rugby player or you're involved in rugby, all of a sudden you got friends, you got people who will support you. You could be lost in a strange country, and if you say, oh, I play rugby or something, all of a sudden you got help.
Rugby's a superior sport. Just saying.
Rugby is life, according to George.
Team sports for the win.
Yeah, it really is life, you know. It really is life.
Yeah.
I actually saw a gentleman I think it was in town years ago. And just from his physique, I tapped him on his shoulder. So you play rugby? He was like, oh, yes, I do. He said, how do you know that you play rugby? I was like, yes, I do. He was like, oh, what position you play? Wait, let me guess. I was like, you're number 9, are you? He was like, I am.
Oh, wow. Love that.
Yeah. I love it.
It's really
and
special.
It definitely does break down barriers because, like Nikita said, I was going in for my visa application, and I think the interviewer thought, he was like, do you play any sports? And I said, yeah, I play rugby. I think he thought I was lying or just kidding. So he was like, what number do you play? And I think at the time I was playing 8. And then he was like, you play 8? We had this big, long conversation about the rugby positions because at first I think he just thought that I was a girl saying, yeah, I play rugby. But then we had a long conversation about rugby and rugby positions. And he said that he did not know rugby was played in Barbados. And I think that is our biggest problem there. We need more publicity around the fact that rugby is played here. And not only that it's played here, it's played here by females from the youngest person up to the
at a high level.
At a high level too. Because we all have, myself, Karen, Danny, Akila, we all had higher opportunities to play rugby beyond Barbados. Karen played overseas for a little while. Me and Karen played at Caribbean Select. We all played for Barbados nationally. There are opportunities out there for females in Barbados playing rugby, and they need to know that. That's one of the things that we have to push and push hard.
Yep.
It kind of upsets me that y'all got the opportunity to play, and I didn't know that rugby existed until like 3 years ago.
Well, this is why I am so angry with the whole COVID thing, because I had all sorts of wonderful plans to get some coaches into primary schools and stuff, and then bring down. Everything skin up.
Yep.
Anyway, this too shall pass.
The funniest thing I've ever heard about rugby was that you tell someone, yeah, we play rugby at the Garrison, and they're like, I saw a little running ball in the middle of the Garrison, but I wasn't really sure what was going on. And I'm like, really? To me, my mind is like, well, what could it really be? Football or rugby? There aren't very many options.
That's true. That's about it.
Like, come and see. I mean, if there are no horses in the way, but like, people spend so much time at the Garrison, you would think that they would know that, it's right there.
These two big goalposts. These two big white goalposts. Hello.
They should know now, because Mia isn't allowing us to play, and on every directive that comes out, it says no rugby. So they know that we exist. They know.
No. You gotta give Mia a pass. Both her brothers played. Okay? And
I'm saying Barbados knows that we play rugby because they know that we can't play there's COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
Garrison is empty. It needs us back.
Well, I still see some folks down there doing their own thing, so.
Yes, but it's not everyone.
I know. Well, we gotta abide by the rules. Discipline.
Indeed.
I mean, it is a full contact sport, so Safety first. Safety first. As much as it grinds my gears.
Safety
You
first.
gotta
indeed.
follow the law. You gotta follow the law. You gotta follow common sense.
Mhm.
Can't play rugby from a hospital bed.
How can you?
No.
I was
That's
just about to
not
say.
fine.
I was about to say, Nikita.
That's not, well, okay. You definitely can't play rugby from up at Coral Ridge or down in Westbury.
Maybe so.
Do you know anyone that tried? I'm sure we can.
Yes.
Virtually, maybe. I don't know, actually. We don't recommend play rugby from a hospital bed. There we go.
Please don't. Please don't.
Yes, that's more accurate. We don't recommend it.
Thank you.
All right. This was great. This was a lovely, lovely, lovely Mother's Day session, seminar, interview, whatever you'd love to call it. I want to thank all of you for coming out, giving us an hour and some of your time. I hope you all enjoyed as much as we enjoyed. The Barbados Rugby Football Union PR team expresses much gratitude for your time and your thoughts on being a mom and being a mom in rugby. So thank you very much for coming, everybody.
And thank you very much for having
Thank
us.
you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you,
Sure. Thank you for the
Jessica.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Anytime.
I thought
Lovely
it,
initiative.
I thought it was a wonderful initiative. So I say
Very
thank
good
you
idea. Thank you.
to both of you,
This was-
Emily and
this
Jessica,
was
and the
amazing.
team. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to Barbados Rugby on the whole. You've done a lot for Mikhail. You've done a lot for the youth. The parents may say that, so we say thank you to Barbados Rugby. And I can't leave without saying thank you to Dennis, who would have started it all.
Yeah.
But
All
Definitely.
persons, all persons from what age?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Would
was
have gone
dreading when you
through
spoke
Dennis.
about John. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
definitely a
yes,
champion.
yes, Jan. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Because Mika would have started out with Dennis and Jan,
Yep.
and they
Yep.
have built such a wonderful foundation
Yep.
with him and rugby.
Very
So
much
many
so.
thanks to them. May Jan rest in peace. And thank you very much, Dennis and Carol. Thank you. You've done so much for
Very
rugby.
much so.
I just want to add very quickly to that, Karen, as well, that the Get Into Rugby program as well. I mean, it provided so much for Jara, and it was literally the only extracurricular activity that I did not have to pay for. So it is inclusive. It is, anybody can join rugby, which is a great thing. There's no economic constraints.
Yeah. Very encouraging. It's great. Location is good.
That's an amazing point too.
Yeah.
So I want to say the location is good.
Location's great.
I get a lot of jokes about sometimes I use it as an icebreaker, being on the Garson at night.
Yeah. Icebreaker indeed. Just smash the ice around. Oh goodness. Oh gosh.
So
All right,
thank you,
folks.
ladies. Thank you very much.
I gotta run. Be safe.
Right.
Thanks again. Night night.
Thanks for
Bye,
having
everybody.
us. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Happy
you all.
Mother's Day.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye,
And
everybody.
Cherise have the youngest baby. Cherise, blessed
Yeah.
Mother's Day.
Yes,
Thank you very
definitely.
much, and the same to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well,
Bye.
all of the moms. Sorry, everybody else.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.